your screen. Aparna is from our worldwide learning team at Microsoft and has a total of 25 years of work experience in the learning and development space. She has been with Microsoft for over 7 years and currently leads the Enterprise Skills Initiative for IT services accounts in India. She helps support skilling and certification interventions that enable learners to understand and equip themselves on Microsoft Cloud solutions as part of their cloud adoption and transformation journey. So, thank you for joining our special FRT session today, Aparna. I will now hand it over to you.
Thanks so much, Nuria. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. So my name is Aparna, and like Nuria said, I'm part of the Worldwide Learning Organization at Microsoft. And what we did, so just give me one moment. Let me see if the slide is.
Aparna, you've just gone on mute.
I think someone's muted me, but that's okay. So just, if you can't hear me
Okay.
again, just let me know
No
and I'll
worries.
unmute myself. Yeah, so what I was saying was that sometime last year, I got a request from NASCOM because they were getting this constant input from the ecosystem that people are wondering if degrees are more important or certifications are more important. And that's when I wrote this blog. And what I'm hoping to do over the next few minutes is to just take you through some of the key points that I mentioned on the blog, and then we can hand it over to Muru, who can specifically talk about the various roles. So what we'll go through essentially is a little bit of, I mean, in the India context, why are college degrees still important? What is the value that these certifications bring to the table, and what is the final verdict? Because there is this huge debate that goes on whether certifications are really required or if college degrees will suffice. And then, like I said, Muru will walk us all through some of the key cloud roles that are coming up uh, more recently. And he can then also tell you how these are aligned with the material and the certification tracks that are available within the FRT curriculum. We can then open it up for a few minutes of Q&A, and then we have Nikhil on the call with us, and we'll get into a short conversation with Nikhil as well. So that's pretty much the agenda for the next hour or so. So let's jump straight into why is a college degree, important. And most of you are students here, so I'm sure you're aware that it continues to provide like a broad level of information and education that helps build a foundation. So while there are many specialities that one can get into, and these days colleges are also beginning to increasingly introduce specializations in their curriculum as well, but a comprehensive 3 or 4 year college degree is absolutely essential to ensure that there is a strong base that exists, and you can always build on top of that. um, why it's also, so it may not be as relevant in some of the other parts of the world, but where people out of school, they can simply get into some vocational spaces and then join the work stream. But in India, a college degree is still seen as, at least a bachelor's degree is still seen as the minimum requirement for many job roles. And it is therefore essential, or desirable, at least, if not essential, that a learner has completed, their bachelor's degree and then are beginning to consider other specialization options. So, with that, what over the last few years, what's happened is that these OEM certifications have come into play. And I think what is happening is that most of organizations like Microsoft and other cloud providers are trying to ensure that they're through these certifications, they're trying to make learning paths available that are standardized across the globe and are consistent. So if you just compare these with what a college degree offers, what you cover in India will be very different from what you cover in the US or what you cover in other parts of the world as far as college degrees are concerned. However, when you look at these certifications, because the nature of the certifications is such that they are rolled out globally, they are not only endorsed by the industry, but they are also fairly standard. So it doesn't really matter if you're in India or if you're in Australia or wherever else, in the world you decide to pursue a job opportunity. If you have a certification through one of these uh, cloud organizations, then that pretty much holds credibility anywhere in the world because it's testing you on the same level of knowledge and skill set, which is recognized and appreciated globally. What these organizations are also doing is that they're basically grounding these certifications on skills and not so much theory. And what happens, therefore, is they do job task analysis. So when they create these certification tracks, what they look at is the job roles that are in demand in the industry. And then they work backwards from that. So they say if this is what a real life job requires a person to do, then what kind of skilling or learning will equip an individual to be able to take on that job role? And which is why most of these certifications are now role based. So they are aligned directly to some of the industry job roles. And what that helps employers do is to essentially just do a role mapping. So if they want to hire for a certain role and if a person has cleared a certification that is aligned to that role, then it just becomes not only easier for the um, employer but also the person who's aspiring for the role to do a quick map because the skills are all aligned to that job role and they are already tested on real life scenarios and not just theory. So that is the other advantage. And then in the fast changing technology space, so right now what's happening is that technology is also evolving way more quickly than it was a few years ago. So every few months, new features come in, new functionality gets added, and we're creating new products on top of some of these technology stacks. um, it is very hard to keep the college curriculum in sync with all of these latest technology changes. And therefore, that is the additional advantage that the certifications bring, because the certifications are typically created by these technology giants. What's happening is that as soon as they release a product or a solution or a technology stack, they will follow that up quickly with a certification track as well. So whatever you see in terms of the latest and greatest technology is what will also get quickly followed up with the um, certification track that gets added soon after. And therefore this is a more um, ideal way to keep abreast with all the changes that are happening. So I'm not saying that colleges don't make an effort to include some of these new technology areas in their tracks, but by the time they catch up with whatever's happening, the technology is changed again. So they keep adding, but they're always a little behind, as far as their overall curriculum's concerned. And then last but not the least, if you've done, let's say, your college bachelor's degree, and if you want to now pursue either a specialization or a master's or whatever, both of those will take considerably more time as well as more money. So, any specialization course or a master's degree or in-depth um, university-based, education track we is usually extensive. So, it'll take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, that's the timeline. And it'll cost you a lot of money. So, whereas again, certifications, because of the way they are designed, all you need to do is to simply pick the area that you're interested in. And as long as uh, you're very focused and targeted, you can really go through the learning in a few weeks, attempt the certification, clear it, and you're set to at least apply for that specific job role. So that's what uh, certifications bring. And therefore, what are we really saying? So we're saying in today's scenario, a lot of not just students, but also IT professionals that have been in the workplace for a while will opt for both. So they will start from a basic degree, but will absolutely, which will build like a good foundation for them. But when they combine that with, I'm sorry, yeah. So when you combine it with some of these technical certifications that get added to their portfolio, I think this definitely gives them an edge, over their peers. And it's like saying um, if there are five people aspiring for the same job role, and one of them has only a college degree and the other one, has like two or three certifications also under their belt, then it's very very likely that the other individual will get the job role, as against somebody who simply has the degree. So that's really the conclusion, that it's I mean, not we're not saying that college degree is not important. I'm reiterating that that will absolutely build the right base, but in the fast changing technology world today, it is absolutely imperative that you're also investing your time in keeping yourself upskilled constantly, and certifications are a great way of uh, doing that. So with that, I will hand this over to Muru. So Muru is a cloud solutions architect here at Microsoft. Muru, if you can, come off mute and, introduce yourself.
Sure. Okay. Uh, Thanks, Aparna. Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, Muru, we can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So thanks, Aparna. Hello. So I'm getting echo.
I think earlier it was Muru, now it's fine.
Yeah. So let me share my screen.
Sure. I'll stop sharing, Muru.
Are you able to see my screen?
Not
Not
yet.
as yet.
I'll tell you when it comes up, Muru. In the meanwhile, if you can, just introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Sure. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Murugesan. So I'm having 20 plus years of experience in IT. Okay. So currently I'm working as a cloud solution architect, from Microsoft as a, application and infra architect. Okay. So, as part of my role, I'm supporting customers and partners to build their application in cloud, right? Application, whether it is an infra plus application, and some exposure to data AI as well as for the security. Okay. This is, introduction about me. So let me just today. So I really thank actually, Aparna and Gunjan and Nuria for giving this opportunity to speak about the job roles. Uh, okay. So let me go to, yeah, this is what we are going to see that, like, uh, as part
Muru,
of
we
the
still can't
FRD.
see your screen.
Okay.
Can you try resharing? Or I can bring up the slides and I can move them for you if you think that helps.
Yeah. Yes. So I will be sharing other things also, Aparna, like probably. Let me share it again.
Yeah.
Are you able to see my screen now?
It's coming.
Yes.
Yeah, it's there now. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, let me also. I will just switch off my camera because I will be using a whiteboard. Uh, okay. So this is what we are going to discuss about the job roles, which is very much aligned with the FRT program, right? If we look at the roles, like, we are going to talk about cloud administrator and security engineer, cloud developer, AI engineer, data analyst. Probably you all, familiar with these roles from the FRT program, right? So now I'm going to talk about what is each role, right? What is the roles and responsibilities of this particular roles, right? That's what I'm going to talk. Okay, so before talking about these roles, I want to quickly show you, what are all the various solution area from Microsoft we are having. Let me quickly share my whiteboard. Are you able to see my whiteboard?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So if you look at in Microsoft, we have a different solution area. Okay, so the first solution area is like a core and infrastructure. Okay, this is one of the solution area where there are certain services. Probably you might familiar with the services like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and the SaaS, right? Software as a service. As part of the core and infrastructure, all the infrastructure as service will come here. Okay, infrastructure as uh, service will come here. Okay, and also digital and app innovations, whatever related to application development, application deployment, right? Whether it is a Java application, .NET application, Python application, when you are developing web applications, everything will come under this particular pillar that we are calling this as a digital and app innovation. Okay. The third one is like a data and AI. Probably that data is mostly it is related to a database, right? The database could be your SQL Server or Postgres, Oracle, any database, right? And also that AI is artificial intelligence. When you are doing some modeling based on the data, then this artificial intelligence will come into play, right? So, and also the security. Security, it is very much important when you are doing any kind of services onto the cloud, or whether it is a cloud or on-premise, right? Security is one of the important pillar. There are certain services will come under here. And the final fifth one is a BizApps and CRM O365. This is also part of a Microsoft cloud. But if you look at this four, right, the first four will come under the Azure. We generally called Azure cloud, right? And the final one, right, the BizApps will come under as part of the Microsoft Cloud, but this is under the software as service, SaaS. Okay, software as service. Probably if you if you heard about probably Dynamic CRM, okay, Power Apps, Power Platform, those are all the technologies and services will come under this particular pillar. Okay. Now with this, I'm going to map the role. So now let's go back to the roles. So what we were discussing about the roles, right? So these are the roles actually we were discussing, right? One is the cloud administrator, but all are the cloud role, right? Here probably we missed the cloud, but is a cloud security engineer, cloud AI engineer, cloud data analyst, right? But it's nothing different. If you understand the cloud concept or fundamental concept of data analyst, you can work whether it is a cloud or on-premise, right? Okay, now we are going to map this role with the solution area. First, let's take a cloud administrator, right? So cloud administrator, let me go back to this. So cloud administrator will come here. Okay, cloud administrator will come this pillar. He will come under the core and infrastructure, because the cloud administrator responsibility is to create the resources. Say, for example, if you want to create VM, any resources with respect to cloud, it's not only infra resource. The cloud administrator will handle any. If suppose if you are going to create the app services, he will be the person after the owner. Okay, so in for any cloud there will be a owner, and the next to owner, administrator is the in charge, right? He will be in charge to create resources. If suppose if I'm a developer, I want to create some resources, then the cloud administrator has to onboard me to give the proper permissions to create resources. The cloud administrator will give you, onboard all the developers and give the, necessary permissions to work in a project. Okay, he has the authority to create and delete resources on the cloud, right? So basically, he will be work with virtual machine, storage, okay, network. So those components he will be, taking care of it for any projects. That's what his role. He will be coming under this core and infrastructure. Okay, now let's go back to the next role, security engineer. So security engineer, here we have a pillar called security, right? He will, come under this particular pillar, security engineer, right? What is his role? We will see that. What is his role? Quickly we'll see that. And the cloud developer, he will come under digital app and innovation. Okay, here he will come, cloud developer. Then we have other roles like AI engineer, data analyst. AI engineer, definitely, he will come under data and AI engineer. And then data analyst, here we have a data analyst. Data analyst also will come under data and AI. But basically here you can see there are two things, right? Data is one, AI is one. Whatever the data engineer, data analyst, they will come under the data. If you subset this, and whatever the AI, ML, and data scientists, those and all, they will come under the AI pillar. Okay. So these are the 5 roles, right? What we are looking at from the FRT aligned roles. Now we are going to talk about in detail what the role will actually do as part of the roles and responsibility. So as I explained that the administrator will do, completely manage provisions, the VM storage. If you look at, I have, highlighted here, VMs, VNet, storage, identity, security, governance, everything he will be taking care for any projects. Okay, as I mentioned that he is the next to the owner. Okay, in a project or in an organization, there will be a multiple cloud administrator will be there, but probably they will be taking care, two, three projects. One cloud administrator will be in charge for 2, 3 projects in a company. Like that, probably for, you can find around, around 20 to 30 cloud administrator in an organization. Okay. And also you can ask me that if the cloud administrator we have put, why the security is coming here, right? So here, if you look at all the roles, they will be, they should have some minimum knowledge on other roles also, because they will be working with other, roles. Say, for example, the administrator will work with the security engineer. The administrator, he will work with the data analyst and AI engineer. That we are calling that as a cross-functional team. This team will be a cross-functional team. Even the security engineer should know about bare minimum data, knowledge, right? So that's what this team will work like, a cross-functional team within the organization for any project, right? So next we will see that security engineer. So probably you all know that security is very, very important nowadays, right? So if you look at most of the application, even, after the pandemic, it is going on to online, right? It's whether a cloud or web application as an online or a mobile application. But that's where the problem is also coming. When it is becoming an online application, there are multiple threats for that application, right? You might have, seen that lot of ransomware attack or virus attack, right? There are so many attacks which is coming from the, hackers, right? So we need to protect that. So when you are creating any application hosting onto cloud, you need to, take care of that application, and also you need to protect from the hackers, right? So that is what the security engineer is playing a very key role in the cloud application deployment. It's right. So he has to understand what kind of threats and vulnerabilities in the market. He has to, protect those, the application from the attacker. Okay. So as I mentioned that, like, there are so many, vulnerabilities. Probably you, you are familiar with that. So probably, as I mentioned, that ransomware or cross-site scripting, SQL injection. There's so many vulnerabilities that he has to protect the application from these attacks. Okay. That was his role, security engineer. And next is the developer role. So we all know that what is a developer? Generally, he will do code, right? He will do coding. But when it comes to cloud, right? When it comes to cloud, if you look at in Azure, there are many services for developers. If you look at Azure Function, probably you are familiar with Azure Functions, right? App services. And when you are hosting your application onto, say, for example, you are writing an application on .NET Java, right? Once you have developed this application, you have to host it onto Azure App Services, or you can use Azure Function or Blob Storage, right? So you need to, suppose if you want to debug your application, right? You need to have that knowledge how you can debug your application, which is hosted on app service, right? So that is what the developer role will be, a day-to-day job, right? He will develop the application, host it onto app services, and he will work with the Azure functions, right? So that is what the developer, and also he has to, have knowledge about APIs. Probably if you are familiar with APIs application, there are different applications: web application, mobile application, API application, right? All the developer has to take care, and it's not only development and also the hosting aspect of those applications, right? So the next is a AI engineer, right? Artificial intelligence. We all know that now it's very, very peak. Probably some of you are already familiar with it. It's a talk of the town. I can say that ChatGPT, right? So, so it's a lot of tractions in the market and the demands for AI engineer. Basically, the AI engineer, they will be working on creating models based on the data available, right? The past data, 10 years data, they will take those data and they will apply some algorithms. In Azure, we have many services. Basically, AI engineer in Azure, they will use the Azure services to create models. If you look at Azure Cognitive Services, it is one of the main service when they are going to create artificial intelligence services, right? So basically, if it is a speech to text, or a text to speech, or if any computer vision. So those and all, if you want to create or embed with your application, chatbot, probably conversational chatbot applications, then the AI engineer will play the key role. Okay. Um, okay. Finally, the last role is a data analyst. Data analyst, if you look at this role, is more onto a Power BI data analyst. What First, he has to understand about the data, right? Complete data analysis, as well as he has to, create the reports using a Power BI. Probably Power BI is a report generation tool. You can create, a different visualized report using a Power BI. So the role of data analyst, he will be working with the data, and also he will be creating a different reports using a Power BI tools. So that is what his role. And for every role, as I mentioned, it is a cross-functional role. They should also understand bare minimum about other roles also, which means that the skills of other role. Okay. So that is what this all roles will play the important. Okay. So that's all about. If you have any other questions or clarification, please, you can just post onto the chat, or you can also unmute and ask.
Thank you, Muru, for your presentation. I'm sure students must have a lot of questions. So students, we will now open it up to a question and answer for both Aparna and Muru. I see there are some students whose hands have already been raised, so I will get to them one by one. So we'll start with the student whose hands have been raised, and then we'll get to the questions in the chat. So we'll start with Balu Chandra. If you could come off on unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Balu, if you could hear me, or if you're having any audio issues, feel free to post your question in the chat. Otherwise, please come off on unmute and ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, hello, we can hear you. Go ahead with your question, please.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening.
Okay, fine. For this program, what is the use? Do we get certification at the end of this session?
So, Balu, if you complete the Future Ready Talent program, at the end of the program,
Okay.
and after you have successfully submitted your project, you will receive a certification whereby
Okay.
stating that you have completed this internship program.
Okay.
Does that answer your
And
question?
internship program, can say nowadays.
Can you please suggest one Microsoft course for security?
So, Muru, do you want to take that question? Do you want to suggest a course for Microsoft security?
Can you repeat it? What was the question?
So, Muru, the question was the student was asking is if you could suggest any Microsoft course around security.
Okay. So, okay. So is there, okay. So it's the question is to specific to Microsoft Security Services or just a course?
Balu, can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Yeah. So, Balu, is there any specific security certificate you're looking for?
No, if you look
Yes.
at if it is specific to certifications, so even authority we have this, AZ 500, right? So that is a security certification you can do after completing the AZ 900 fundamentals, and then probably recommendation here is you can also take AC 900. Okay, then after that you can take that AZ 500, and there are various security certifications we are having. So based on interest and also the market demands, you can just take that certifications. If you want, I will share what are the security certifications available. You can go through and check.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, Balu.
And
Does that
I have
answer
a
your
question.
question? I'm sorry, we're just going one by one. So unless I've called out your name, please just wait your turn to ask your question. Okay. Next question we have Raja Jha. If you could come off on unmute and ask your question, please.
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Uh,
Okay,
uh,
charging away.
my question is because I am pursuing my diploma from an government polytechnic in electronics and telecommunication engineering, but I want to be a data analyst in future. Can you suggest me what the courses I uh, can learn, and please because my English not is fluent, so can is mandatory for a data analyst uh, graduation. Graduation is mandatory for becoming data analyst. Is this my question?
So I
So
can attempt to answer,
yes,
Muru, and then you can add.
sure.
Um, so Raja, basically, graduation, like I said initially, is something that a lot of employers ask. It is not mandatory. There are a lot of times there are smaller startup organizations who will only look at what your technical skill set is, and they may not give as much emphasis to your college degree. But again, in India, college degrees are still very, very important in most organizations that offer jobs. So I will say it'll be good if you have a college degree. And then, in addition to that, Muru had mentioned the data analyst track, which is the PL100. So, how you start is there is a fundamental level certification called Power Platform Fundamentals. So you do that first, and then you graduate to the more intermediate level data analyst track, which is PL300. So if data analysis is the space that you want to get into, then that is the track for you. And Muru, feel free to add
Sure.
if I missed out on
Yeah,
anything.
thanks. Yeah, just I will add that. So see, if you are doing a diploma, probably like you can also do through correspondence, any degree, right? Like probably BCA or BSc. And then probably you can also complete this FRT. And if you want to become a data analyst, you can start with the AZ 900 first. And then next is probably you can take, DP 900, right? That is about the data fundamentals. And then probably you can go with that, PL 300, which will be a, Power BI thing, right? So so that is what probably we can also share what are you can also, like, if you explore that certification related to data, you will get many certifications. But just to start with, you can do a DP 900 plus this PL 300, which is as part of this program, right?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raja. Next, we have a question from Komal Kumari. If you can come off unmute and ask your question, please. Komal, if you could hear us. And if you're having any audio issue, please post your question on the chat and our team will answer it. Okay, I think we'll get back to Komal if that's fine. We have another question from Chirag Lalwani. If you could come off on unmute and ask your question.
Thanks for giving opportunity, ma'am. My question is that if someone wants to build a fast, rapid application which work on analyst part, like live analyst part, do I'm audible?
Yes, Chirag, go ahead, ask your question.
So, ma'am, if I want to make something a fast, like analyst web application, maybe application web and app, so which certification will be right for me? Like I have done a basic as 900 certification, but in the field of analyst part for the which is a large amount of data. So in from the source like live monitoring services camera through which
Right.
is which includes some yes sir AIML
So see,
data.
Chirag, probably what you can do, see, you already completed the AC 900, right? So probably for monitoring camera, probably that is coming under like kind of a IoT device, right? So probably you may need to look at the IoT. We have a certifications and we have a services, and along with that, you may need to take the data. So probably the same like DP 900 and data related, that once you receive the data from the camera and all, you need to process those datas, right? You need to understand how that get processed, which is coming from the device, right? And then on top of that, you may need to create the report. For that, we have discussed that PL 300, it's a Power BI analyst, that you can do.
Okay.
Is that answers your question, Chirag?
Yes. So, sir, if our product is not yet built,
Mhm.
so we can discuss after in the mentoring sessions,
That's the way.
or we just I need to
You
complete
can
this
you
courses
can
and
just
start
send it
building.
to the, yeah, you can send us the question, then probably we will answer those.
Okay.
Thank you, Chirag. Komal, I see you're back. If you want to unmute yourself and ask your question now. Okay, I think Komal might still be facing some difficulties. We can go to the next question. Majiga Anil, I see your hand is raised if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Yes. Um, Actually, recently I have completed the administrator AZ104,
Hand
and
raise.
Sorry,
I was
students,
like,
please mute yourself if you're not asking a question. Sorry, Majika, please go ahead.
and I was interested in the part like in the DevOps engineering. But as for in the market, I would not see Microsoft is a playing good role in the DevOps engineering, like not having the many of the clients for that. So, what could be a suggestion for that?
Okay. So I'm not like, how do you find Microsoft is not playing, but Microsoft is playing the big role as part of the DevOps. If you look at Azure DevOps as part of the cloud, we are having like a SaaS offering. That is one of the solution. And also probably if you
Yes,
are
yes.
familiar with GitHub, right? Are you
Uh,
familiar with GitHub?
yes, of course.
Yeah, GitHub is one of the largest developer platform in the world. There are
Yeah.
70 million dollar, I mean 70 million developers already registered. That is the DevOps platform that has all the CI/CD pipeline you can create, and you can create. It's not only DevOps, you can do a DevSecOps. That is, it is it's picking up. It is currently GitHub is a Microsoft company, and Microsoft having a two DevOps platform. I don't think that any other provider, they're having a two DevOps platform. Microsoft is having a Azure DevOps as well as the GitHub. And we will run through some upcoming sessions, probably quick introduction about each service like DevOps or GitHub and how that is powerful. The lot of market demands for GitHub as well as for Azure DevOps.
Yes, in the other, like we use many times with the Git and like as a version control system, but as for the Azure, that I didn't found in many of the documentaries that playing a main role in in the DevOps, in the Azure DevOps.
Yeah,
That's
so
the
we are
reason. So I'm
we
just
are
thinking, I'm thinking like whether I need to choose the start the career in the Azure DevOps or not.
Yes, see,
That
if
was
you want to become a DevOps engineer, right, you can choose the path like, first you can start with Azure DevOps, and then you can also learn the GitHub CI/CD pipeline where you can use GitHub Actions. We are having probably just to explore that GitHub Action is very, very popular. Using that, you can create your CI/CD pipeline, whether build pipeline, release pipeline, and not only that, you can also protect. So we discussed about security, right? You can also bring that security into a DevOps pipeline. GitHub, it has the native tools like code scanning, secret scanning, depend bot. Those
yeah.
you can bring as part of your DevOps pipeline to protect your DevOps pipeline. We are calling that as a DevSecOps. Okay, next that you can learn. It's very, very popular, the lot of demands. And also we are currently having something called a GitHub Copilot. That is a AI pair programmer. Using that, you can generate the code easily. Nowadays, the developer, they no need to worry about, developing code using their own logic. Now in GitHub, we are having something called Copilot that will help you to create code automatically. Okay. So that is what GitHub is very famous. As I mentioned, there are 70 million developer already registered. It is a world largest platform. You can learn the lot of demands over there.
So what was the way to be achieve the Azure DevOps?
So
Like,
we have a certification for Azure DevOps. You can also just, if you find this from our certification site, okay. Azure DevOps, we have a certification, and also GitHub also we are having a certification.
okay.
So thank you, Majika. For now, we will actually pause on the questions and we will now start the next section of our session. For students who haven't yet had a chance to ask their questions, don't worry. We will take your questions at the end of our next session, next section, sorry. So keep your hands raised and we will get to them after that. So Muru, if maybe I could take control or if you could move to the next screen of the presentation, please.
Sure. Let me share my screen.
Sure, sure. Right now, I think it's still sharing, actually.
Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, yes. If you could just move to the next slide, please. Perfect. So just if you could pause here, or the previous slide, actually. Students, we will get to your questions after the section is over, but please put yourself on mute until and unless I call out your name to ask a question, because there is a lot of disturbances to our presenters. So Muru, if you could actually go to the previous slide, if that's okay. So as you all may see right now on your screen, some of you may even recognize yourselves or your friends on the screen. These are all our future ready talent graduates. So today we are very excited to introduce to you a very special guest, Sai Nikhil, who is actually an FRT graduate from the year 2022. So Muru, if you could go to the next slide, please. Sai Nikhil is currently in his last semester at KL deemed to be university, studying BTech, and is also interning at OpenText right now. So as you can see over here, you can always reach out to Nikhil on his LinkedIn profile that's shared on the screen. So I'd like to welcome Nikhil now to our fireside chat, which will be conducted alongside Aparna, who is our Microsoft leader from the previous section of the session. So welcome, Nikhil and Aparna.
Yeah, thanks, Nuria.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Hey, hi, Nikhil. Good to see you.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. All right. So if you can start by, you telling us a little bit more. So I know Nuria did a good introduction, but if you can give us a little more background, about your college, you know, um, what is the current job opportunity that you're pursuing, a little bit about that role, and what your overall experience with the FRT program has been. So if you could just talk through that a little bit.
Yes, ma'am. As you all know, myself, Nikhil, I am currently pursuing my final semester in KL deemed to be University Vijayawada, and I am currently interning at OpenText Hyderabad. My experience with Future Ready Talent Program is wonderful. Me working on-demand technologies, mainly on Microsoft Azure and GitHub together, has been very good for me, actually.
So, Nikhil, if you can, I remember the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you'd taken up AI as one of your specialization streams in college. So if for the, benefit of everybody else on this call, if you can just, describe that a little, and if you can then also talk about the certifications that you took under FRT. I think it'll give us a nice balanced view of what specialization you're pursuing in college and what are the certifications that you decided to take up through FRT.
Okay. I have taken artificial intelligence specialization in my university because it's the on-demand technology and the technology which I am interested in actually. So I am pursuing in artificial intelligence specialization, and then the certifications I have done. I have gone through the Azure developer path of FRT. First, I have done AZ 900, which is fundamentals, and then I've gone through AZ 204. So I have done the cloud developer path in it, and later I have gone through AZ 400, which is an expert level for the path that I have completed.
Okay, yeah. So this is actually the one, I think Muru was addressing the question that got last asked on DevOps. So, I don't remember who asked that question, but this is really a live case here where I think Nikhil's, taken that track, the DevOps track that we were talking about. So he took his Azure fundamentals, then took the developer certification, and then went on to do the DevOps certification. So I think, that's the path that he's followed, which is very much in line with, what was the question that was asked earlier. Um, so so in terms of the overall tech space, Nikhil, um, yeah, how important do you think it is? Because you've now been working for a while, you've also been studying technology. How important do you think it is to keep up with the latest technology, and how frequently do you think it is changing, and what is your take on that?
I feel certifications are one which give us a proof that we have worked on that specific technology, um, that we have gone through different levels and gone through different use cases and everything. It will be helpful. Doing certification is a part and process of learning. and also a proof for the learning we are doing.
So I remember when I was talking, to the audience, I was saying that so when you applied for your internship, for example, Nikhil, I'm sure there were more people who'd applied, for the same role. So what you learned through FRT and the certifications that you took as part of the program, do you believe that it gave you that little extra mileage or an edge over some of the other candidates who were, trying to apply for the same role?
During interviews, what interviewers expect from us is mainly practical and hands-on knowledge on the technology. They will expect that from certifications and projects precisely. FRT is one program which gives a balance on both certification and also on project. Project is the one we can showcase on our resume later, and that's if we complete the FRT internship, the certificate itself, uh, the proper project gives us a certificate for FRT actually. And how it helped among others is mm, many will say that they have worked on specific technology or the specific skill, but they won't have any proper proof that they have worked. And FRT or Azure certifications are one where that is a proof that we have worked on the technology. So I feel it will be edge among others that we are having in an interview.
Right, right. And I think you drive home an important point, Nikhil. So I know we've been talking about certifications, but an even more important aspect of the whole curriculum is the project. So I completely agree with you that while the certification will lend some level of industry, sort of credibility and the credentials will add to your resume, the live project is what will really help, because you take an actual application and you create it, and that is demonstrated proof of the fact that you've learned. So I think that is absolutely, I think that's a good input to the rest of the audience base here, that if that is something that people focus on in the overall track, then that'll definitely go a long way in getting them the right job. Because you're right. I mean, increasingly employers are asking for demonstrated and more hands-on experience as against, purely theoretical experience. Okay. So then I also remember, Nikhil, you were one of the, like 50 people who attended, the technology, the Future Ready Technology Summit in Bangalore, a few weeks ago, where Satya, was the keynote speaker. So, any experience that you want to share from that with this audience? What were your key takeaways from that summit?
Firstly, watching Satya just 2 feet away in a private room of 50 is a once in a lifetime opportunity for anyone. Mainly for those 50, it's definitely memorable moment for us. Uh, and the words spoken by him that this may be your first certification or this may be your second certification, but this is not your last certification, helps us to work more on certifications and work more on improving our knowledge. That's the main takeaway I felt from the summit from Satya.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
from an inspirational person any tech aspirant will always have Satya as an inspiration. So yes, that's my key takeaway from the summit.
Awesome. Yeah, and I completely agree with you, Nikhil, that Satya is a huge advocate of growth mindset, which essentially means that you have to constantly learn. So I know in my introduction, the team here said that I have almost 25 years of work experience, but despite that, every single day I try and set aside, some time to just enhance what I know already. So yes, I mean, bang on when you said that this, you may be doing the first few certifications right now, but learning is a very, very long journey. And it's if you continuously learn, then that will only help you grow more and more. So yeah, thank you for that. And I think the last thing that I really want to ask you, Nikhil, is what is your advice? So you've been through the program, you are, now pursuing an internship. So what would your advice be to your peer group here? There are a lot of people in the audience, and I'm sure they also want to get some nuggets of, wisdom or advice from you. So yeah, what's your advice to them?
What my suggestion to FRT peers is, firstly, concentrate on the certification learning path that you want to finish off, that you want to gain skills and have skill set on. Select one of the certification path and uh, do it properly, and then go for doing the project. Have the synopsis, have the submission, and then it will be reviewed by industry experts in Microsoft, and which will be very helpful because the valuable feedback they give, it will be helpful in improving the project if needed again. And then that certificate is valuable. Do it for yourself. Do the project for yourself, because you are going to showcase that project on your resume. It will be in your resume forever. So focus on the project mainly, I feel. That's the main part FRT gives you. Project is the main point you need to remember. You need to work on more and more on project, and then you're done.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. Thank you for sharing your experience, and I really wish you the very best for your journey ahead.
Thanks.
Thanks again. Nuria, over to you. Do you want to take more questions now?
Perfect. Yes, no, thank you, Aparna and Sai Nikhil. And, like students who are a part of this call, if you complete your Future Ready Talent program, submit your project successfully, you can be the next Sai Nikhil on our session as well. And, as Nikhil mentioned, there is definitely an importance to completing your project. It's a lifelong learning, and it will also help you with your future career aspirations. So please do complete your Future Ready Talent program. And if you have any questions regarding your Future Ready Talent progress, we have a support desk that I know my colleague Gunjan has mentioned in the chat. Feel free to message us and we will take up your questions regarding the program. We will now take a couple of questions. I know we are almost at time, but I know some students have been waiting for a long time to ask their
Actually, one of my
questions.
question is that is this
So
internship
student, please,
internship or
student,
free of cost?
1 second, 1 second, 1 second. So students, until I call out your name, please do not come unmute and ask your question. It's the only way, otherwise we will have a lot of students speaking at once. So please wait your turn. When I call out your name, unmute yourself and ask your question to any of our presenters. So we'll first start with Vidya Vasani Rai. I believe you have a question. If you could unmute yourself and ask your question. And students also please limit it to only one question. Since we are short on time, please only ask one question. So Vidya Vasani Rai, if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Okay, I think we may have lost that student. Next question we have is from Tupakula. If you, Murali Krishna, if you could unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Can I have opportunity to write agent one?
Yes, yes, please ask. We can hear you.
Can I have opportunity to write agent 104 examination through this FRT portal?
Yes, sorry, Tupakula, could you rephrase your question? Do you
Yeah,
want to?
I'll take
Yeah,
that
yeah, go ahead,
question.
go
I'll
ahead,
take
go
that
ahead.
question. So yeah, of course, you can go ahead and you can take the exam, but exam is not free, AC 104, if that is your question. Was that your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Correct. So advanced exams do have a price attached to it. However, the fundamental exams are free for students. So if you want to take a AZ 104 exam, you can go ahead and do that, but you would have to pay the price that is attached to it. So you can schedule the exam, you can do the payment.
Attendance.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Gunjan.
ma'am.
We have a next question from Raghavendra.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Raghavendra, if yes,
Am I
please go
audible?
ahead. Yes, go ahead.
As it was mentioned earlier in this meet that certificates are created to meet the real world needs, and college curriculum is not that efficient for the roles. How much importance should we allocate? How much importance should we allocate for the college studies, and how much GPA is likely to be maintained, assuming that we are very good with the technical skills, projects, and certifications?
So I'll just
What all
say,
gets
so let me, I can, attempt, and Gunjan or somebody can, add on. So Raghavendra, basically each employer varies in their minimum criteria or requirement, right? So I don't think there is any standard prescription here. So the GPA required or the minimum percentage required, from your graduation, different employers will ask for different cuts, right? Uh, but I will, so I'll still say that, if you do reasonably well in your college and you top that up with a couple of certifications, then it's really comparative, right? Because in the market today, it's the same role, and tens or even hundreds of people are applying for a single position more often than not. And which is why, if everybody is coming in with the same GPA or similar sort of college scores, um, what will give you an edge is how much more hands-on experience, which is what the project setup that I think Nikhil talked about, and then also what additional certifications you've acquired in the same time period. So I think that is what I would say.
जैसे पढ़ना है भाई डाटा एनालिटिक्स
मैंने एंड्रॉइड ये सब मुझे एंड्रॉइड का सर
Raghavendra, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Next, we have Ashutosh Kumar. Could you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a question that I am
Yes,
pursuing
go
in
ahead.
BA. Hello, I am audible, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I am present and I am pursuing MBA. I want to take some certification course like data analytics. And what are the platforms for this performance, and what are the digital marketing field funding and internship program?
Muru, could you answer
Yeah.
hear the question?
Yeah. So see, probably you can take, first is like, the fundamental certification, that is AC 900. After that, you can take DP 100, right? And also DP 204 data engineering, that will, and also the, PL 300, all are related to your, futuristic digital marketing, right? That's what you mentioned. So for that, all these certification definitely will help you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, how to?
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, how to easily improve my communication skill and digital data analytics skills?
Can you repeat again? I'm not able to hear you properly. You.
Sir, I want to take some internship, and how to take internship in easy ways.
So internship, you can
Like
go
data.
to the FRT, right? So you can just register for this FRT program where we are also covering the data courses, and in addition to that, you can also take other data related courses, which will help you to become a good digital marketing analyst. You can register for this FRT program where actually there are some data courses available. In addition to that, you may need to take other courses. Whatever I have mentioned, yeah.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashutosh. Next, we have Nirmal Kumar. If you could unmute yourself and ask your question. And students, please only ask one question or we will not be able to get to all of your questions. Nirmal, go ahead.
Thank you, madam. Sir, Murugan sir, I have a question regarding course of data analyst. Sir, do I need any technical background? Like I'm a government school boy and working 9 to 5 job right now. So my question is, do I need any technical background or some sort of basic technical knowledge so that I can pursue the course of data analysis?
Yeah, see, definitely you need a technical knowledge on the database side, right? So when you want to become a data analyst or data engineering or data scientist, right? For all that, you need some kind of a technical knowledge on the data processing, data handling, right? So for that, you can also register this FRT and you can go through FRT, you can complete the FRT related database program. And then, addition to that, you can take, as I mentioned, the DP100, DP204, those you can take it up. But to answer your question, yes, we need some kind of technical exposure, technical knowledge on data processing and data knowledge.
Okay, sir. So can I question another question?
Nirmal, can you post your question on the chat? We do want to give a chance to all the students, and we are also already over time. So if it's okay, could you please post your second question on the chat and Murusa will get to it.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, we have a question from Rohan S. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So my question is that I'm from a mechanical background. I have just completed my BTech from I'm 22 pass out, and actually I wanted your expert guidance actually on which certification would be the best to start a career in this field from the Microsoft certifications available right now.
Yeah, so for all the certification journey, if you look at whatever we discussed, right, the job role, the basic first you may need to start with the AZ 900, that is the Azure Fundamental Certification, to understand about the cloud, right? It is what is cloud, why cloud.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right? You got to start from there to to become any role, whether it is a cloud administrator, if you want to become data scientist, AI engineer. Right, any role you need to start with the fundamental. That is obvious for anything, right? Fundamental, then you can take the role-based certification. That is what we are discussing, the roles, whether you want to become a developer. As you mentioned that mechanical, so that is not a problem, but any background, right? Even if you are coming from history or commerce, students also, they can also become a cloud, they can also play any cloud role. As long as if you are having a passion, you can, become any cloud role, whatever we discussed. My suggestion is you register on this FRT program, go through the learning path, whatever it is given. All the learning path, whatever we are provided, it is based on the market demand only. You can just go through all the courses, complete that. That itself will give you a good confidence and you can get job opportunities.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. And okay, right. If I have another question, I'll post it in the chat box.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Rohan. Next, we have a question from 203J5A0212 Shiva. If you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, go ahead. Ask your question.
Ma'am, is there any fees to join in the internship program?
No, there's no fees. It's a completely free virtual internship program.
And just to add, because I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat, even to access courses, there's no fees. If you're a college student, fundamental certifications of Microsoft are free to you. If you have to take an advanced level certification, you have to just pay the fees attached to that certification exam. Thanks. Nure, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Next, we have a question from Datari Jatla. If you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My question is actually I missed the project submission deadline. So now I am able to I completed the orientation and self-learning and industry
Hello.
sessions. Uh, hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Hello.
ahead. We can hear your
Hello,
question.
Datri.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I missed the deadline to submit the project. I was pursuing graduation, so I missed this. I completed the orientation and self-learning and industry sessions. Now I want to submit the project. Do I am eligible to submit the project and claim the certificate?
So
Sorry, I didn't
Datri,
get
you
your
have.
name. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Vidya.
Oh, yeah. So Datri, you have 80 days, 80 days from the day you register to complete your FRT journey, including successfully submitting your project. In case you are not able to submit it within that timeline, you can write to our support desk at support@futurereadytalent.in and state your case, and we will give you an extension based on your credentials and if we think it's required for an extension.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have a question from Vinay Bansal. If you can unmute and ask your question, please.
That I have not started but registered this course. So can I complete this course right now?
Yes, Vinay, you can complete it at any time. Thank you. Next, we have a question from Thomas A. If you could unmute and ask your question, please.
Sir, I have a question for you. Do you think that AI will eventually overtake the cloud computing in terms of importance and market demand in the future? And I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on how these two fields may evolve and intersect in the upcoming years.
Okay. So, Thomas, actually, if we look at AI, right, artificial intelligence and the cloud are two different things. Okay. So, for anything, so basically, when you are doing artificial intelligence, it's on top of your data, right? So basically, you will be data. On top of that, you will be doing a prediction, right? Using a AI algorithm or doing a machine learning, right? To handle those data, large amount of data, you need a cloud. Okay, whether it is analytics, whether it is artificial intelligence, or whether it is application, whether it is a infra, we need a cloud. Cloud is the backbone. Okay, so we cannot compare like apple with orange, right? So which I mean, the cloud is mandatory to run your AI models. Okay, because that has that kind of scalability. You can run any kind of model, all the powerful computing, everything you can leverage it from a cloud. Is that answers your question, Thomas? So cloud computing is always there. It will be there.
Okay, sure, sir. I was asking that like AI will can overcome any type of rotational jobs in cloud, like that.
No, see, for anything, cloud is the mandatory. Whether if you want to become an AI engineer, that is what the role which we are talked about. All are a cloud role. Even if it is a AI engineer on cloud, if it is a data analyst on cloud, because if you look at all the applications and data already moved to cloud, and there are certain data is currently moving on. So in future, all the data and application will be on cloud. Then in that case, cloud is a mandatory. That will be the backbone to run anything and everything. Sorry, getting it, Thomas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I getting you. Thank you for your insight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. So students, because we have overshot our time, we will just take the last two questions. And then the rest of you who still have questions, please post it on our chat group. Our support team will get to you with an answer and send the question to the relevant Microsoft leader to answer. So next we have Kotana Yashwant Kumar. If you can unmute and ask your question, please. Kotana, if you can hear us, or if you'd rather post your question on chat if you're having audio issues, that's fine as well. Okay, so in the meantime, we'll go to Shivanshi Gupta. If you can unmute and ask your question, please.
Hello. I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity, ma'am. Actually, I have a question that I'm coming from a BA student. I'm not coming from an IT background. Which course is better for me to build my career in IT background?
Okay. So you are coming from which background? BA.
BA, yeah. I'm pursuing BA right now.
Okay. See, that is what I mentioned in an earlier question, right? It's the stream, the academic stream, what you are currently going through, that is not an issue to become an IT professional, right?
Okay.
So that is not a constraint. As long as if you are having a passion to become a cloud, IT professional, you just to register in this FRT program and do whatever the courses listed out here and do the projects, you can become a cloud professional. There is nothing whether it is you are coming from a BE, BTech, MCA, a BSc, there is no barrier when we look at the academic background. As long as if you are having a passion, want to become a cloud professional, it is open.
Sir, certificate is mandatory for. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Hello.
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Himanshi.
Actually, sir, certificate is mandatory for anything because I have learned Java, but I don't have a certificate for that.
No, see, if you look at, yeah, so one is the knowledge, right? But how they will recognize you, based on whether you are having that knowledge or not, right? That is what the certification is mandatory. So that first itself, when you are putting or keeping onto your profile, I have completed this certification. This is the industry standard certification. When you are completing this from Microsoft Azure, and you will get that recognition, right? So when you are putting that onto your profile, instead of just listing, I know Java, I know .NET. So along with that, when you are putting that certification onto your profile, that give you more value add.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. So we'll take one last question and then we will close the session. Mahbub Patel, if you can unmute and ask your question, please.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. I was waiting for long and I was worried whether I will miss it.
So last person, go
I
ahead.
got a very, very much important question from our today's topic, that's enabling employability. And it's a very general important question for others as well. So I'm a last year MCA student and I've done 2 fundamentals and 2 associate level certification. Also, I've done the FRT program last year. And I came in top 3 position of a national level quiz competition called ADL Challenge. But the major issue that I am facing, even after doing the certification, is finding a cloud intern or a full-time role. Since most of the companies on campus or off campus come with SD roles or testing roles or database engineers role. And when I pinging on LinkedIn or searching through any other portals, companies are asking for experience or proper industry experience. Even if I show the FRT certificate, so they are well, it's a program, so we can't consider that as a internship or as an experience. So can you please bring the light on this? What should one should do to showcase their skill? Even if I search on LinkedIn right now, so there are very few internship opportunities available or full-time opportunities available on cloud, since it's a paid thing. So even startups are not ready to give their hands-on to freshers. Thank you, ma'am. That's it.
So, Mehabu, so when did you complete this FRT?
Last year, sir.
Last year.
Yes, in my
So
first year.
have you completed your degree also? MCA, you are MCA final year student, right?
Yes, sir. I've done all the academic semester. The last sem is for internship, proper 6-month internship. So yes.
Okay. Okay. So, so anyway, you will be having remaining 6 months, right, to complete this degree?
Remaining just 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months. Okay. No problem. But I'm not like how you have tried that. So we will also look at your profile Okay.
Yes,
We will see that how we can help you out to get into any job. Okay. Probably you can share your profile with us. And also, have you tried using the freshers portal, like even the Zuno, right? From Found It, we are having it. Have you registered on that portal?
On
Yeah, I'd
Found It,
also
yes, I've
say,
registered.
Gunjan, for the benefit of, everybody else also, if you can just talk through what additional, sort of provisions are available that students can use to identify job opportunities. So if you can just maybe talk through
Also,
that.
one more thing I would like to add, since the FRT programs come with lots of benefits, but the main thing is like Azure student subscription that gets expired after a while. And after that, for having a practical experience, we need to like pay, like give credits. So also like if it's possible, we can have credits. Since I've been attending workshops online and offline at Microsoft Office Mumbai of different MVPs and community programs. So this is the thing that currently I'm facing issue.
So no problem. But we need to look at how you have tried the opportunities. But still, we will look at your profile. We will help you out over that. So Gunjan, Nuya, you want to add here anything?
Sure. So, to all the students out there, and thanks for asking that question. So now you would see that the students who have started working onto their projects and they've completed their projects, we have already started sending them job notifications, which they can apply for. These are curated jobs around Azure, the skills that you have learned. So if you're not checking your emails yet, please ensure that you are every day checking your emails. The email come from opportunity at futurereadytalent.in. So every week we send out two set of emails to you. So just go and apply to these. Also, all the students, please create a profile for yourself on Zuno. When you go to Future Ready Talent, on the orientation page itself, we have given you a field where you can submit your Zuno email ID. And if you don't already have a Zuno email ID, you can go ahead and you can create that for you so that we can keep sending you the job notifications. So that's one thing where we are sending you regular job notifications around Azure. Second, we do have some exciting news coming for all the students who have completed their internship. We have a session coming up in few days where we will share more details around it. So just ensure that all of you are completing your internships. You are taking the certifications that you have to do. If you have yet not started with your internship, ensure that you're completing your courses as well as building the project, because that's the demonstrable knowledge which even Sai talk about when Aparna asked her a question around that how did FRT give them an edge over the other students, right? So watch out for these emails. Link, I'm again calling it out for you. The emails are coming from opportunity at futurereadytalent.in. If these emails are landing in the spam folder, just ensure that you mark them as safe so that you get all the notifications. Create a profile for yourself on Zuno so that you get all these notifications in time and you're aware of whatever we are sending as the information. Nuria, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, students, for all your questions. I know we weren't able to get through all of them, but please write to us at our support handle, which is support@futurereadytalent.in. And I've posted it on the chat as well. So you can go ahead and ask your questions there. Gunjan, I see your hand up if you would like to say something.
Sure. Thanks, Nuria. And it's not a question. Based on the questions that we're getting in the chat, few quick call outs that I am doing for all the students. I think most of your questions would be answered through that. The very first thing that is this internship that we're talking about, a virtual internship program. It's a free program. You don't have to pay anything to be a part of this program, right? How do you register for this? You have to go on www.futurereadytalent.in. That's the link, and Nuria would also paste it in the chat. Just go here, register yourself, and you can start with the internship, right? Most of the students are asking, is there a selection process or is there an assessment that they have to go through? You don't have to do anything. Just register onto this website, complete your profile, and you are ready to start with the internship, right? So there's no fees attached to it. There's no selection criteria. There's no assessment which you have to clear to be a part of this program. What do you get once you complete this virtual internship program? You will get a virtual internship certificate, which you can even go and take back to your college to claim credits against it, right? There were few students who were also asking the question, is it mandatory to complete all the courses? No, it's not mandatory. There are two ways that you can complete your internship. If you want a credit certificate, which you can take back to your college and claim credits against it, then you have to complete all the mandatory courses that are there in self-learn and then build a project. And once your project is being approved, you get a credit certificate. But if you're not looking for a credit certificate and this is more of an experience and learning thing for you, then you can go through the required courses that you would need to learn to build a project. Then go ahead, build a project, submit the project, your project gets approved and you get the internship certificate, but you'll not be able to claim any credit benefit against it, right? A few of the questions people were also asking that how do they build the project? So it's up to you that what is your project type? What is your project topic? You would have to decide that. We are keeping it free for you. You can look for a problem statement around you, or you can look for an opportunity area which you think you'll be able to solve with our technology that you have learned, right? It could be even something which is within your college, at your home, in your nearby place. So it could be anything. Think of that idea, use the technology that you have learned, build up something. We're giving you a student developer pack with $100 credits. Use those credits very wisely. Use it only for the things that you require. And once you submit your project is approved. That's when you complete your internship and you get the virtual internship certificate. The certificates that we are talking about, which even Aparna talked about and Muru was also mentioning, these are the industry certifications. These are over and above your future ready talent internship, right? So future ready talent internship gives you a virtual internship completion certificate. Over and above this, you can also go ahead and acquire the certification. If you're a student currently in an academic institute, you get fundamental certification vouchers free of cost from us, which is from Microsoft. We have sponsored that cost for you. If you want to go ahead and do the advanced level certification, then we can help you with the details. You can go onto the page, check everything, and then you can apply to take those exams. So this is like a few refresher point that I wanted to tell to all the students based on the questions that were coming in. There is no eligibility in terms of who can participate. Anybody can be a part of this program to learn. Only I would say the only feeder over this about the entire thing is that the employment opportunities are something which is applicable for the people who would be graduating in next 2 years. So even if you are, I saw that one of the student in the group write that I'm in class 10th, can I apply? So yes, anybody can go and apply and learn through this program. It's just the employment thing has a terms and conditions attached to it. So anybody who's applicable for that would be getting the career opportunities notifications from us. That's it. And also one thing which I want to announce, soon we'll be doing a orientation session also for you. So if you're a new to program, you still have a lot of questions in your mind, then do watch out for that orientation session. We'll be sending you a notification. Otherwise, you can also go on FRT YouTube channel. All the details that I'm talking about is given there. In fact, when you register and you move to the orientation page, there's a orientation video that we have placed. It's an on-demand video. You can watch that video and it will give you all the information that I just spoke about. So I know I went a little fast, but I wanted to cover on the points and the questions that most of the students had. So with this, thank you. Thank you so much. And Nuria, over to you.
Perfect. No, thank you so much, Gunjan. I think a lot of students, you had very similar questions. So I hope what Gunjan mentioned just now helps answer some of your questions. And, like Gunjan mentioned, and I had also posted on the chat, our support desk is always available for you should you have any questions. So don't think that you are doing the Future Ready Talent Journey on your own. There will always be support. Also, for some students who were asking, this is a recorded session. So we will also be emailing you a link to this recording. So you can always listen into this later afterwards when you have more time. So with that, I know we are over by 30 minutes. I would like to thank all of the students for participating in this session, and especially to Aparna, Muru, and Sai Nikhil for being our presenters, and for making this such an informative session for all of our FRT students. So thank you so much again, everyone, and wish you a great evening. And I hope you all go to your FRT profiles and continue your journey. So thank you again, everyone, and wish you all